I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending Friday, October the 23rd. We just had a real nice week of evenness without quite so much volatility. Your CME cattle futures, they were up and down some, but it wasn't limit moves and day after day going the same direction. Just kind of nice little rolling hills there. Live cattle futures for October. We're up 60 cents on Friday. December was down 35. Ended the week with October at 141.02 and December at 143.40. So we're looking forward to a little bit of gradually higher fat cattle prices, we think. And on from there, February is a little bit higher than that. But for the week, October gained $3.40 and December gained $2.85. On feeder cattle, your October on Friday was down 50. November was down $1. With October ending the week at 195.05 and November at 193.25. So you look at your feeder cattle prices are looking to level out and maybe take a little bit of moderation or a step back as we get into these bigger calf runs going on into the end of the year. Your October feeder cattle futures for the week gained just a nickel, and a lot of people may be disappointed because this resurgence that we've seen after the big wreck is kind of leveled out there, but really this is a healthy thing for the market. November feeder cattle ended the week up $1.63, and that's a pretty good deal there too. CME feeder cattle index based on a 750 pound steer cash settlement would be 192.80 at the end of the week. Cattle Market Central's real-time index sitting at 193.12, so very close right in there. Cattle on feed come out on Friday with on-feed totals as of October the 1st at 102. Expectations were right in there at 102, so not a whole lot of change there. One thing that we saw is the number of steers was up 7%. The number of heifers was down 7%, so that goes to show you that we're still keeping a lot more heifers back, and that's really going to build up our herd looking down the road 3 or 4 years and going to moderate prices a whole lot more. We're not going to be seeing these big prices whenever these herds get rebuilt like people have been doing for the last year or two now. But your placements in September were at 96%. which could be a touch bearish as the expectations were at 94%. Your placements were the lowest ever for the series set, and also on those heifers, the amount of heifers that was on feed was also the lowest ever for this series set, which started in 1996. But you look at your placement breakdown, your percentage over 800 pounds that was placed was up 8%. I think that was due a lot because there was probably more yearlings turned out on grass, and those cattle were coming in. And but your under 800 pound percentage placed on feed during September was down nearly 12%, and that's due to your calf sellers not bringing those cattle to town maybe as early as they would have, maybe as early as they did last year because the market was really spiking a year ago. But they just looking at that wreck which was going on in September, and they thought, oh, I think I'll just hold tight for a little bit, and it was a good idea really in most cases. But nearly 12% lower on the number of cattle placed weighing under 800 pounds. But you look at your fat cattle this week, we really didn't have a significant trade. Your packers are going to have to pay quite a bit more. They did buy a handful there late in the week in the Northern Plains from 208 to 210 dressed. Had one deal up there up at 211 there coming in, and that's sure going to be higher. It's roughly $3 to $5 higher than what the bulk of the trade was last week. May have had some after hours trade that we'll find out about on Monday there. But your dressed steer weights on the actual data that come in are still coming up 928 pounds on a dressed steer. That's an all-time record there. That's for the slaughter information for the week ending October the 10th. And that's when we started the rally. So, you know, the wreck that we had and the fierceness of it really wasn't warranted. this resurgence of prices that we've seen over the last 3 weeks or so really wasn't warranted. It's just games that are played mostly on paper, and the guys that are holding the bag are the ones that are taking care of the cattle. And so, you know, we saw a rally start when the dressed steer weights were at an all-time record high. The packers were the only ones that knew that, yet they were giving more for cattle. But that's all hard to figure. This week we saw some more information come out about cold storage of meats, and your pork was up 19%. That's the amount of product that's being stored in some kind of a frozen facility there, and it's on hand. Pork was up 19% compared to the same time last year. Chicken's up 28% for the same time. Beef's up 31% for the same time last year. And you know, last year our amount of product was down quite a bit, so yeah, it's going to be a lot more, 31%. But on your beef, compared to the 5-year average, it's still up 17%. So we got a lot of product in storage. Of that, your boneless product on beef is up 36% over last year at the same time, and your bone-in products down 4%. But your cash feeder cattle prices this past week still gaining ground, but starting to level out a little bit. If you've been holding off to sell, it may be a good time to go ahead and get them sold if you need to do that, because it's looking like it's starting to level off quite a bit. Your calves and yearlings were $2 to $5 higher for the most part. Did have spots $10 higher on certain weights depending where you're at. Southeast saw their big gain this week, $4 to $10 higher. To get a lot of orders coming in for some of those crossbred calves to turn out on wheat probably around November the 15th there. But you look at your detailed weekly quotes there on Cattle Market Central, and you notice that even though we've gained a lot of ground here in the last week, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it's all culminated into this week, we're still not as high as what the averages were on the previous month, and we're not as high as we were whenever the wreck started there, but we've gained a lot of that back, and really the market's not too bad at all. We've got some things weighing on us a little bit. We're always having to fight the media and people, your vegans and different people like that on saying that beef's not really healthy for you. You know, I mentioned one of my recent videos that I had a good friend there that's waiting on a heart transplant, and it encouraged me to hear that in his diet is red meat. So if that's not healthy for you, I'm not sure why they would have somebody waiting for a heart transplant eating red meat. But see some other stuff coming in. There's a real big push right now not to be serving beef that's ever been given antibiotics. You know, be an ambassador for beef. Those of you that are watching this are definitely interested in the market, and you must be a producer or have some into the market. Be an ambassador. You know, if you hear somebody saying that red meat's not healthy for you or something like that, be the first one to tell them they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Tell them that the reason that we give cattle antibiotics is to keep them healthy and productive. Ask them if their kids have ever been sick and if they ever refuse to give them antibiotics. Sometimes you get a cold or something in the wintertime, a Z-Pac's just what you need to kick you back into gear. That's all we're doing there, is we don't want to see those cattle suffer. Sure, we don't want to lose weight on them, and we don't want to lose money, but we don't want to see those cattle suffer. We want to get them as healthy as they can, as quick as they can, and that's the reason we give them antibiotics. Look at Cattle Market Central, some individual quotes from this week, late in the week. On Saturday there at Lake Cumberland Livestock in Somerset, Kentucky, had a load of 845-pound steers at $2.80. Look at some big calves in Lexington, Nebraska. Had a huge load there that we wouldn't be able to travel with, but 112 steers weighed 603 at $224.50. And at Burwell, Nebraska, which you can watch on DVAuction there every time they have a regular sale, they had 72 steers weighed 450 at $275. That's it for your cattle market summary this week. Check out DVAuction for all your fall production sales, and then we'll be putting out the lineup on a jillion spring production sales before too long. and from my home office here in DVAuction or at Maysville, Missouri. We'll talk to you next week.